I'm going to go over assignment 5, which is illustration for graphic design. Um, so what we're doing um, is we're basically going to explore how to create a bit of illustration to be used in your graphic design. Graphic design is visual problem solving using type and layout, illustration, and photography. But as I mentioned, what happens is, as a designer, you're not responsible for designing your typeface, for doing your photographs, or doing your illustrations. You would actually purchase those or assign those out to a typeface designer or an illustrator or a photographer, or buy existing illustrations, photographs, or typefaces to be used in your design. So, but what makes you more valuable as a designer is being a designer who can do some illustration, do some photography, and some type design. So here's what we're going to be doing is you're going to be learning some simple ways to do some illustration to incorporate into your graphic design. Now, illustration is an entire area of study, so we're not going to dive too much into it, but just realize that illustration can be playful, can be very businesslike, can be very technical. It can teach, it can enlighten, it can discuss, right? So, but with pictures. So a video to watch, a blog to read. But here's another point: is illustration does communicate to the general public. It isn't. It's not a fine art. It doesn't use your personal symbology. It uses general symbology that people know and understand. And yeah, this video will explain a lot, I think. But what you'll be doing here is you'll be creating 3 illustrations by hand, or I call it in an analog fashion. And you'll do those by using any tools you have available. I'm not going to ask you at all to go out and buy any art materials or supplies. That's not necessary. You can use an everyday pencil and do this entire assignment, or a pen, or a ballpoint pen, or if you have paint, or you can do cutouts. All those things are completely up to you. In fact, you can do prints. You can do like printmaking type thing, right? Not just printing something out. You can cut things out with scissors and glue it down. You can use crayons. You could even embroider. You can sculpt. There's a lot of ways to do illustration. So I have some reference images on page 2, and you're going to be asked to create 3 analog illustrations and 2 digital illustrations. And then I'm going to ask you to use Illustrator or Photoshop. Okay, so you don't have to use this or that. You can use one or the other, or both if you want. Okay, so I'm going to demo how to do that. So here it is. Read this project sheet thoroughly, ask if there's any questions, watch all the linked videos, especially the demo video, this one that I'm doing now. So here are our reference images, just so you can get an idea. These are leaves. Leaves can represent a lot of things: growth, eco-friendly. They could represent nature. They're just kind of something that could be included in a lot of things. So you'll see those reference images. I want you to gather your tools together and make 3 analog illustrations. I'm going to show you those coming up here shortly. And you'll do these 3 illustrations, and they should be about 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter, so kind of, you know, decent size, decent kind of big, and design and illustrate them 3 different ways. Do one a very simple or minimalistic kind of feel. Do one very businessy or professional, like maybe the simple or minimalistic might be one you would see in a, you know, as a background image behind some text, right? So it's not going to be super detailed. It's going to be very basic. A business or professional. So maybe there's a leaf that you see in the Wall Street Journal, and this leaf is, you know, talks about growth of certain companies, but the leaf represents a lot, and the Wall Street Journal has a very, their style is not playful or whimsical or simple or minimalistic. It's very detailed. So that's this next one. And then this last one is playful or whimsical. So how would you play around with this leaf? How could you make it kind of interesting and have that type of quality? Okay. Make sure each illustration is different and fits those different categories. And make sure they're, I should say, labeled too. I'm going to say, and labeled with the quality you're illustrating. So in other words, so tell me which one is simple or minimalistic. Tell me which one is business professional, and label each one, you know, label each of them. Now you'll go into Illustrator or Photoshop, and you'll create illustrations about the same size, 2 to 3 inches in diameter. If you're using Photoshop, set the resolution to 300. I don't want a 72 ppi image that's all pixelated and terrible looking. Okay, so create 2 different styles of illustration. One is going to be graphic or symbolic, and the other is technical or scientific. Now, the technical scientific to me kind of sounds a little bit like business is professional, but maybe think of this technical scientific as one where this might go in a horticulture book, that maybe they would identify what exact leaf shape this is. And then this graphic would be more of a logo type thing, okay? And then again, photograph your analog illustrations, email them to yourself, compile all the illustrations into one PDF, and submit to Canvas. And one PDF file could be multiple pages, but one PDF file. You're assigned it on these dates. So check your project sheet for when those dates are. Okay. So let's move on to the to illustrating these leaves by analog or by hand.
Okay, hi, this is Chad. I'm going to be covering a few different ways to illustrate analog. Now, one thing that we can do, I'm using a ballpoint pen, and I do have a pencil here with a OK eraser, not wonderful, and I'm drawing it on my sketch pad, just because this is a harder back right here, and this is kind of squishy back here. I'm in front of my computer, so I have this kind of a pad on it, and it's not great to draw on, but this is a little bit harder, so it is. Okay, so here's the thing about illustrating, is that when you put your illustration in a design, people aren't going to go, oh, this you know, you cheated making this. The illustration, you can cheat a lot. And when I mean cheat is you can trace. And so I'm going to be tracing with this analog, and also with when I do the digital design. So my first one, I have three of them that I need to do: simple, minimalistic, a business or professional, and then a playful or whimsical. Okay, so I think one of the easiest one is going to be simple, minimalistic. So I'm going to take my picture and put it up on my computer screen just so I can get a basic outline of the leaf. And I've made sure that the image on my computer screen is about 3 inches. This is a little bigger. We can get a ruler and just see. So yeah, this is about 4 inches by about 2. So that's bigger than it needs to be, but simple, right? So this is kind of choppy in my drawing, but simple means I think I want a really kind of smooth illustration kind of look. And so that's a pretty simple or minimalistic. I think it works decently. This white area could be a little bigger. And then what I would probably do, just to make sure things are, probably go and erase my traced line just so it's pretty clean. And then please fill it in. So I'm just gonna do a really light value on this. Now this is, I probably wouldn't do this exact like little scribble technique if I was going to take it into an actual design, because all this would show up. But why I'm asking you to darken these a bit is because it just shows up a lot better when you take a picture of it and scan it in. The lined, just a line work is not, or may not be enough. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so you get the idea on this one. It's all, and like ideally, you could get a Sharpie, right, and just totally blacken this in. Then when you take a picture, you can take it into Photoshop, save it as a bitmap TIFF, and then change color of this thing when you bring it into Design or Illustrator. Change it to a green or to an orange or to a like a lime green or anything like that. So the black is something really useful to do, and a Sharpie works great on that. But anyway, please fill this in so we can see what's going on. So I'm gonna stop right there. Now I'm gonna do the business or professional one. I'm gonna do another tracing here. And remember, this one is just a little more, maybe a little more exact type thing. So I traced a little bit hard. I'm gonna lighten this pencil up a bit by erasing. And what's interesting is that if you were to get like a marker and draw on and trace this with a napkin, you'd get a really bleedy effect, which is maybe not great for business, but might be really nice for the simple minimalistic. So it's okay to play around with different papers and different, if you have different tools. If not, a pencil is great, a pen is great. But let's see, let me get to work on this one a little bit. So I'm just gonna follow the the little edge design that I'm seeing in the photograph, the reference image. And since this one is kind of a professional setting or detailed, I just want to keep it kind of exact. Um, it's more of a business type. I don't know. I mean, I know there's different type of businesses, and each one might want something a little different, but this is how I'm considering this one. Okay, so you get the idea, and then there's this like leaf structure that we could. So there's generally some type of shape going through like this, and this one I could do like a dark side and a light side, which might be interesting. So I may do that. So off of this center line of the leaf, I may now I'm taking a little bit more time on this because I want it a little more detailed. But there's a lot of ways to do this. And then maybe on the lighter side, so if this were dark over here, I might darken this up. Quite a bit. And I'll try to leave, at least on this idea, right? You don't have to do it this way at all, but I'm going to try to darken. So I've done this thing as a professional designer quite a bit, taken my own photographs, done a lot of my own illustrations, and it really has proven to be a big help and makes me more valuable to my clients and my employers when I can do both. And the nice thing about this is it kind of gets one vision. One person has this idea, and I don't need to like communicate it to others. I have the idea and I can execute it. You get the idea on this, okay? And then on this side, and just for the heck of it, I might just like darken this edge and just lighten it up in the middle type thing. And I'll tell you what, if you can do this with a ballpoint pen, a lot easier to do with a pencil. And if you can do it with a pencil, you can basically do it with charcoal or colored pencil. So yeah, pen and pencil are really good you get the idea, right? So this whole thing would be dark, this side would be light. Okay, so minimalistic, business, or more professional, more scientific type thing. And this is playful or whimsical. So on this one, I'm probably not going to even trace it, but I want to make sure it's about the same size. And I might just put a little more. And I'm not sure how, I don't really love that because this actually connects to this little stem thing, so that didn't work out that well. But maybe on the inside of here, I could play around a bit more. Or perhaps I could do, you know, kind of a just something kind of playful, I guess, right? Okay, anyway, that might be something, or maybe it's, I mean, notice what's going on with the leaf. It's curved, it's narrow at the top, it's curved, it's kind of more round at the bottom, and then this this leaf sticks out, or this little stem of the leaf, and the center vein should go through the middle of the leaf and then pick up down here. It just continues. That's what's going on. So to do something like that doesn't make, I mean, it doesn't really fit it that well. That's why I stopped this kind of quickly. And it could be something as simple as this. That's not terribly wonderful, and it's too small too. So we're looking for a little bit larger size. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. Oh, and I should probably darken this out a bit. And really, this didn't take me very long, did it? I mean, so I'm not done, but it's, you know, I'm more than halfway done with this. So take some time on it, make it do something you're proud of, and in fact, more than that, learn a skill that you can use in your future graphic design. It'll make you a valuable asset to your company, and or also to you or to your clients. Okay, let's go on to the digital illustration.
I'm going to do a digital illustration of this leaf in Photoshop, and what I've done is a screen capture of the project sheet. So I grabbed this leaf, brought it into Photoshop, and now notice it's only 144 pixels per inch, so I need to move this up to 300. And when I OK that, notice what it does. If I go take this to 100, it's a little blurry. So what I'm going to do is choose sharpen, unsharpen, mask, and this will help me see the difference. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to do Control Z, so you can see how it sharpens, right? So anyway, okay. So here we go. We'll make a really simple digital illustration out of this. I'm going to do it in multiple layers. So my first layer, I'm going to grab my quick selection tool, and I'm going to, deselect. I'm going to make a selection of the leaf. let's see. And okay, there I have it. I'm going to go up to here and I'm going to fill that in with just I'm going to choose a neutral green out of this. Might brighten it up a little bit and then fill that. Okay, then I'm going to hide it. And then I'm going to go back to the original layer, and I'm going to select highlights and then shadows. So here we go. I'm going to select color range. Notice that I'm on my original image again. And so my color range, the shadows are more up here, at least on my image. So I'm going to adjust that until I'm happy with it and choose OK. And then I'm going to select Save Selection. I'll just call this Shadows. And I'll deselect it. See how it's darker in that area. And then I'm going to go pick the lighter areas. And then I'm going to do the silvery thing. So I'm going to do this again, select color range, and then I'm going to choose my highlights. And maybe that's not a great, let's see if I can, yeah, that's okay. All right. And I'm going to save this selection as highlights. And I'll deselect it. And then I'm going to select color range, and then I'm going to choose, let me just show you, there's like this little silvery color in here. So select color range, and then here's that silvery color. And I'm going to move that down just to isolate that. Choose OK. Select Save Silvery Color. Okay. So now we'll bring back that outline, and we can adjust these colors, which is really nice as we go. I'm going to load the shadows. And so here it is, and I'm going to use my brush tool and select that background. I'm going to choose a darker color than that, and I'm going to fill that. And to fill this selection on a new layer, I'm going to do Option, Delete, or Backspace. And I'm going to deselect it. Then I'm going to load my highlights. And I'm going to go back and pick that green again, so it loads as my foreground color. I'll click it, and the highlights I think are going to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to click OK, and then make a new layer, and then Alt Backspace to fill that in, deselect. So now we have some shadows and some highlights, and then I'm going to load the selection and choose that silvery color. And then here I'm going to choose kind of a grayish light color. And I'll make a new layer and Alt Backspace to fill that in. So there's my leaf illustration. What I could do is grab some of that dark green and go to this original leaf layer here. And I'm going to lock my transparency. And what that means is if I lock the transparency, and if I, let me just show you, if I paint on it, I get a little airbrush thing, but if I go off it, it's not going to let me paint on the transparent pixels over here. Okay, so I'm kind of use that to my advantage a little bit. I'm going to go around the edge and just darken the edge a bit, like that. And it doesn't have to be as dark, but let's see what that did. Meh. Maybe not. I'm going to get that silvery, and oh, I better lock this one, because if I don't lock it, I'm going to be spraying all over the place. And then I'm going to use my opacity at like 50%. So we'll see what that does. Not much. Not too exciting. Oh. Go down here. Yeah, it's not wonderful, but it's okay. What I think I may do is grab that green again, deselect, and then just put like a little shadow on my stem on the just to give it some a little more strength down there. So that's a decent yeah, illustration for the leaf. So I'm going to save that as a, and then if we wanted to, I mean, if we wanted to, we could go up and make a new layer. And if I hold down Command and click here, I'll make a selection of that. I'm going to click on this main one, and I'll just grab some yellow because I think it looks a little too like bluish for me. Get like a nice warm yellow. I'll put it over the whole thing. And then instead of keeping it as a normal, I'm going to move it down to, well, it can move around and see what it's like, but if I do color, it turns it all yellow, but then I'll just move my opacity down a little bit so it just affects it just a little bit, just yellows it up a hair, and that's what I'm after. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and I'll call it example, assignment 5. You can name it whatever you want. This is just for me. Example digital 2, because I think I have an example digital. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do this one more time just to show you one more way of doing it. I'm going to go to this original leaf, and I'm going to go to image adjustments and choose threshold. So notice what this does. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to duplicate this leaf maybe 3 times. So now, yeah, I'm going to call this light leaf. This is medium leaf, and this is dark leaf. So for the dark leaf, I'm going to do adjustment threshold and just do the dark colors here, about like that. Okay, and then for my medium leaf, I'm going to do image adjust threshold and then grab kind of a medium type color. And then lastly, okay, so I'm going to go back to this one and duplicate it. So this one is going to be full color. And so we're at the light one again. Adjustments, threshold, and we'll keep it almost filling things in like this. And then we'll go to our full color one, image adjustments, threshold, and we'll go all the way to the right. Okay. So, and I have these in reverse order, so I need the full at the bottom, and then light, medium, and dark on the top. So the next step we need to do is to remove the white behind it. Okay, it'll be relatively easy. Select color range, white, okay, and delete it. And then we'll go to the next one. Select color range, white, okay, and delete it. Select color range, white, and delete. Deselect. I forgot to mention that. I'm deselecting. Select color range, white, okay, delete, and then Control D to deselect, or Command D on a PC. Then I'm just going to go in and fill these in. So so it looks like a black leaf, but you know there's different layers. So here's my full color. I'm going to grab like a medium green. And to fill this in, I'm going to choose this lock transparency. I've done a select all, Control A, and then hold down Option and then hit delete or backspace. And then for my light, I'm going to go choose a little bit lighter color and backspace. And here I have a little bit of green showing through. And then for my medium, I don't know what I'm doing. We'll try this color, backspace. No, I don't like that at all. We'll try this. Nope. Need to go a little bit darker, don't we? Yeah, that's okay. And then we'll do this dark, and then we'll go grab like a little bit darker one, and then we'll fill that in. So here's another way of doing it. We have the dark, we have the medium, we have the light, and we have that fill color. All right, so, and yeah, this does capture a bunch of the details. So a couple different ways of doing this. Okay, hope that helped. I'm in Illustrator, and I'm going to be creating. Well, let's try to remember what I'm going to be creating here. A graphic or symbolic, and then a technical or scientific. Okay, so let me go back. Graphic. Let's copy those so I don't. Back into Illustrator. Just paste these over here so I can remember those. Okay. So a graphic. So we're looking for kind of a logo-ish looking thing. Now, first of all, I want to just mention that this is an 8.5 by 11 page. So these images, let's just measure these. These are going to be pretty large, 5.5 in length-ish. So that's going to be fine. Okay, so one more time, graphic. So some kind of simple. So what I may do is just use the pen tool and create something really simple and straightforward. I'm just going to round these corners. Okay, so far so good. Just round that end off a bit. I don't like how like wobbly the thing is. So what I'm going to do, since I have this, so what I did is I did a screenshot of the project sheet and then just pasted it in here, which is fine. Gives me something to trace, gives some kind of visual. Right now it's floating around a bit, so I'm going to lock it. And to do that, I'm going to choose Object, Lock. Now it's selected, right? Object, Lock, Selection. So now it can't be moved, and that's what I'm after. Then I can go in and edit without too much of a without too much issue here. And there's a few little bumps that I don't love. What we could do on this is choose Object, Path, Simplify, and this little, oops, let's try that again. Object, Path, Simplify. And this little slider will let us show how many points. And it just gets simpler and simpler. Look how simple this is. And that might be enough, since this is kind of a graphic, a graphic or symbol type thing. It's a nice leaf. I'm going to use this, I think this pen tool to make a nice center line through the thing. And then I can adjust it with these handles a bit. Now I don't like how it's filling in, but I do like what's going on with the shape. And notice it's gone. It's because there was no stroke or no fill to it. I'm going to put some kind of a stroke to it. For right now, I think I'm going to color it like orange so I can see it. Oops, that's a fill. Didn't want to do that. And increase that a little bit. Now this is kind of a interesting tool here if I can find it. There it is. Changes the width of your stroke. So if I wanted to make it a little more interesting, I might like grab this and just open that up a little bit. Okay, and yeah, that's kind of cool. I might grab that and drag that down a bit more. And it's starting to have a nice graphic quality to it. Now what's going to happen when I change this to white is we'll have a nice shape in the middle of the black, but this down here will no longer be it'll be white, so it'll be hard to see. So there's a couple things I can do, and I'm just going to make a duplicate of this so we can see. And I'm just sticking with black and white, just because when I bring it into my program, I can, it could, I can change it to more of an icon or a logo. But let's say we didn't want to. Let's say we wanted to do it color. So we'll pick this as a color, and then maybe this one would be like a little bit lighter color, and that's really nice. What we can also do on this one is go grab a gradient, and we'll have to make it a gradient first, and then maybe we'll make it a radial gradient. We can change this the black to a darker green, and this lighter to like a lighter green of some kind. And while we're here, we can get our gradient tool here and maybe change where that gradient happens. And I think we can reposition it somewhere here. I don't know. Thought I could. Okay, well, I mean, and that's kind of logo-esque. That has a nice logo type quality to it. If I wanted to on this one, if I wanted to put some gradient to it and adjust it, I could outline the stroke. So if I go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, now it's a shape, and I can put a gradient to it. So let's say on this gradient, I'm going to choose like a light green, and then here, yeah, a lighter green. I'm going to flip-flop these actually. Yeah, and then I'll use my gradient tool to maybe make it a little bit different. So I guess that's okay. Wouldn't mind taking that even a little bit. Well, so that may be a solution. Another one could be if we outlined this Object, Path, Outline, Stroke, and then we took all of these and selected all of them, and then used our shape builder and just removed this middle area, then we could go in and just change that to a black. And then this is kind of a nice look as well. So there's a bunch of different graphic type solutions. Okay, so the next one is technical or scientific. I'm going to unlock this, and if you want to unlock it, you go to Object, well, let me lock it and then we can see the unlock selection. There's unlock all. And I might just move this over so I can see this, and I'm going to lock that, and then we'll work on this as a more, what, technical or scientific? I keep forgetting that, sorry. Okay, so to make this more of a technical or scientific, we could get our pencil tool and make sure this accurate's way down there, and then just begin tracing it. And let's just do that a little bit. And so here's some kind of nice things about that. I might just start in here. And then I'll, keep that at this light green color. And then while that's selected, I'm going to go in and make so what I'm doing is really spending some time breaking this down into colors. Okay, and then, all right. So then my next color that I'll probably do is maybe this dark green. And I'm just doing a portion of it so you can get an idea of a way to do this. Not the way, but a way. So many ways to do illustrations. And you notice I'm going to have some gaps in between my dark and light. And what I'll probably do is have, in the end, since I want to make sure I can see this, but I would probably just keep going on this with this idea. And I'm using I to get to the eyedropper real quick. Click that. I'm holding Command to click away, and then back to the letter N to trace some more. I, Command to click away, and then back to N to trace again. Back to the I to select that. And then I'm going to use the N, and I'll start working on maybe some other parts of it. But I guess what I was getting at initially was there's going to be gaps between these. And my idea was to, trace the whole leaf out really carefully, blah, 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 and then fill it in with this light green. And then if we send it to, you can see as I'm sending it to the back slowly, we get, I might lighten that up a little bit, just double click on that and kind of lighten it. I think that might look a little better, maybe. So that's the idea, is having the leaf in this like a lime green, and then have on all these other shapes built on it in their own colors. It could come out very technical, very nice looking, very precise. So I won't take all the time to do that, but that's a nice way of doing it. Let's see. So now, if you were to trace the I'm using my mouse to trace this. Now you probably already know from our past assignment that when you mess up, you can go next to this line and redraw it and if you connect it to that line and release, it'll edit. Okay, so I started on the line and I'm ending up on the line, and it allows you to edit your illustration. And notice I'm not putting any shape on it right now. I mean, no color. It's there. So if I go to my wireframe, Control or Command Y on a Mac, you can see my shape is there, and I can continue to add to it. But just so I can see underneath it, I'm not going to put a color to it. And then I'll continue. So if it's going to be this lime green, I really don't have to touch a lot of this, but maybe I'll go in and I'll just eyedropper that back to the end. Eyedropper. And then if we take that and we'll color it maybe this very light, and I'll just put it behind things here. And if that's too dark, I can go, or if this color is just a little too dark and I want to lighten it, I'm going to select one and choose select the same fill color. It'll grab all those, and then I can adjust the color here maybe a little bit. So it just punches out a little bit nicer. So I know it looks like growth or something right now, but it would look really nice if the whole entire leaf was done. That's one way you're doing it. That's not the only way. And I'm just showing Photoshop, or just showing Illustrator right now. But Photoshop, there are really nice ways of doing it in Photoshop as well. But I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to leave you to kind of explore how you're going to do this digitally and by hand. I do want to show you how to assemble all these in one image. So let me do that real fast. I'm going to transfer this image from my phone. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to probably delete these two. I'm going to keep that one. And as far as labeling, let's probably grab those and put it, because we do have to label them. You have to kind of show me what's what, and finish these. I mean, this one's not finished, but you'll need to finish them. So what I'm going to do with this is choose a file, save as, and then I'm going to choose this is going to be assignment 5 example, and I'm going to save this as a PDF. And the nice thing about a PDF is that you can add to it if you use the Adobe Acrobat, and I'll show you how to do that. So we'll choose save. This is example 5, assignment 5 example, and I'm just going to choose a save PDF down there. It's just the button to continue, and I'll go find it. So, and I found it right here, and I'm going to open that in Adobe Acrobat. And if you don't have that downloaded, it's a good idea to download it. So here we are. There's my file. Now, if I look over here under my downloads, this is my file that I just, I sent it from my phone. So what I can do is open this in Photoshop. So it's not rotated yet. Image, rotate 90 degrees clockwise. I'm going to crop it so I don't see the back of my sketchbook there. and I'll hit enter, and then I'm going to use a Control L, which is levels, and you can find that under image. Oops, let me cancel this. Image adjustments, and levels is a good thing for black and white, so you can, this is a histogram here. This shows how many whites are in the image, how many medium values, and how many dark values. And there's a few darks and a few mediums, but mostly right between the medium and the lights because of the paper. So I'm going to move this up to brighten up my paper, and notice it's starting to wash out my image a little bit. But if I move this down, the dark down, it will kind of compensate for that. And notice this big thing right here, and maybe we should just take care of that. I'm just going to use a brush to get rid of it and make sure it's white is my foreground. I'll just get rid of it like that. Okay, so here I have my simple, my business, my playful. You're going to have to finish these. I'm saying that multiple times. And I'm going to save this as a let's see, assignment. It's already example 5. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And I'm going to call it assignment 5 example analog or hand done or whatever, just so I can find it easy. So, and then you'll have to okay these JPEG settings. Okay, so that's saved. Close that, and then I'm going to go into my go grab that assignment 5 example. So there's the analog one, and this is the digital one. So I'm going to open this up in if I haven't, I think I have, but let's see. I'm going to open it in Adobe Acrobat. Yeah, I have. So the cool thing about Adobe Acrobat is you can add to your PDF pages pretty easily. So if you have this open and you click this little thing, which is your thumbnails, you'll see a thumbnail of it, and you can just drag JPEGs or more PDFs or PNGs or anything into this area, and it will add to your PDF. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to grab this JPEG and I'm going to drag it to this example 5 thumbnail area. And there it's added. So now I have page 1, page 2, they're all there. I'm going to choose a file, save as, and we'll save this. I'm going to keep it in assignments. I'll just choose a different folder, it doesn't matter. But so if I go to I have this organized under assignments, call the example 5 example, I'm going to call it final, and then choose save. You can name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. As long as you're logged in to Canvas when you submit it, it'll be under your name under this specific assignment. So this is the file. This final one is the file that I will turn in. So I'm on a Mac and you can see the preview here. If I click on it, there's a little arrow and there's my 2 pages. And that's what I will submit to Canvas. Okay? All right, thanks everyone. Let me know if you have any additional questions.